Hello and good morning to CGG TV. So this morning we're going to have a bit of a yoga session with you. So I'm Cath and I'm part of the Geraldton Yoga Club and we're very happy to bring that session to you. We are with CGG offering a free session of yoga to the community every Wednesday afternoon. At the moment, because of the social distancing and the COVID, we're doing it online. So if you're interested in that, jump onto our page. We're on Facebook, so Geraldton Yoga Club, and it's live on there every Wednesday from 5:30 to 6:30. Usually we try to go live a bit earlier, just to leave you a bit of time to get ready. And this is Talia, who is going to demonstrate today for us. So Talia is my daughter. So we're part of the same family and we live together, so we don't have to apply the social distancing. And it's really helping to have someone who can support you in certain of the posture we are going to do today. So if you've got someone you can play with, that would be very helpful. Also, we don't have any wall here today, but most of the posture we're going to show you are going to be much easier and safer with a wall, because we are all today going to do inversion. So there's two main postures which are the king and the queen of inversion in yoga, which are handstand and headstand. And those are the hardest postures. So it's really good to be guided by someone or to have someone who knows how to do them to help you to get into those postures. So I don't really want to encourage anyone to try at home without any supervision or any help. But we're going to see that there are much more different semi-inverted posture, which are a great way to gain the benefits of inversion without doing those really full-on posture. So we're going to show that to you with Talia today. But first of all, I just wanted to go through a few benefits of inversion. So what we're calling inversion are any posture where your heart is below your head is below your heart. So your heart is higher than your head. So usually we're in sitting or standing, our head is higher than our heart. And inverting that process is really helping in many ways our body. And interestingly, as a child, usually they like to do that. Very natural for them to do handstand. They find it playful, it's very energetic, and it's really challenging at the same time. And I think a lot of adults will say, oh yes, I could do that when I was a child, but now I'm older, I'm completely out of practice and I can't do that. And one of the benefits of doing inversion is to go against that fear. And the main fear of inversion is to fall, which is a real fear, you know, like I'm not saying about anything. The advantage of doing inversion is to challenge yourself and to build that confidence that you can go beyond that fear of falling. For the mood, it's a great booster of mood and it improves the blood circulation. Obviously, our heart is pumping blood when we're standing and we're in that posture. And when we're inverting, it's doing the contrary. It's bringing all the blood from our feet to our brain and brings more oxygen to our brain, which is a great thing to do. It also helps to boost the immune system, which in this time, and especially with winter coming and the flu season, it's a great advantage. It's also helping circulation, so I mentioned that, and it calms the mind. And that's a great way, especially at the end of your day work, to really settle back and calm. And maybe we can start with our first posture today, which is a really easy posture to do, and there's not really any contraindication to do it. So we just lay down on the mat. It's great to have a mat just purely for comfort, but if you don't have one, you can also have a blanket or just use your carpet at home. And have your hand trying to face up, just in that openness. So we're going to focus on the shoulders being open and falling down on the mat, and our collarbone being really open forward. And then we're going to lift our leg. So you can imagine that I'm a wall, and you're just having your leg up the wall. That's why it's called like that. So this is the first version, and you might find you don't have flexibility in the back of your legs, and you can have a slight bend of your knees, which is much easier. Another way, which is still an inversion, is to have a bit of an angle. So not trying to have that 90-degree angle between your body and your legs, but just to have the legs a bit more forward like that. So that also is a bit easier. Some people also like to put something underneath their hips just to make it a bit higher. So we can use the blanket and fold it and then put your hips up. And it just means that the hips are a bit higher and give a bit of relief to your lower back especially. So again, you're against the wall, yeah? You're not, so it's not like a hard posture to keep because the wall is supporting your legs. So it doesn't mean you have to make any effort for doing that. Great, thank you, Talia. So this is really the most easiest inversion you can do, and I really encourage you to do that every time you're tired. You know, like your legs are tired, maybe you've been standing for a while, or you've been shopping, or you just have done a lot of things on your legs, and that has got an amazing effect on calming the mind. Great. Now we're going to move to maybe Adho Mukhasana, so that's downward dog, which is a very well-known posture in yoga. So we start maybe on our knees and in a tabletop position. Great. So we're trying to have our hands under our shoulders, our knees under our hips, and the knees are a bit wide, you know, like the hips, and the feet as well, keeping that distance. And then you can move your hands slightly forward. Usually we say one hand forward, but even just a little bit, it's okay. Both hands in line, perfect. Then you tuck your toes, lifting your hips towards the ceiling. Great. So I can see a stance is a bit too wide, so move your feet slightly forward, great. And then bend your knees quite a lot. And when you bend your knees, it allows you to push, and usually it's that part of the body, your lower back, middle back, that you need to push forward. And in that posture, we're trying to move the chest. So she's very flexible, obviously. So you don't have to go into the full posture. But as you can see, your head is going to be lower than your heart again, so you have that benefit of the blood circulation and coming back to the head. So holding the posture in inversion, obviously you will gain more benefits, but depending on your level, you can hold just for a few breaths to 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Some yogis stay in inversion for a really long time. Great. Do you want to come out? It's good after an inversion to stay in Halasana, which is also called the child pose. So it's a very resting pose. You can also use a block under your forehead. So your head is not lower than your heart, and slowly your blood circulation is going to come back to normal before jumping up, back up. So I really encourage you after any inversion to have a pose into a resting posture. Great, thank you, Talia. Now we're going to see a different kind of inversion with a wide-legged inversion. So there's two different stages of that posture. The first part is quite easy and more accessible to most people, and the second part is more for advanced yogi. So you can follow the first part. So we're going to have our legs apart, maybe 4 to 6 feet apart, depending on the length of your legs as well and your flexibility of your inner thigh. And we're going to slightly move our feet inwards, just a slight angle. And you will feel the difference in your lower back and your sitting bones when you're doing that slight inwards movement. What did I want to say? I don't remember. Okay. So there's different version for that. Talia put her feet and the heels of the feet along the yoga mat, and that's a great idea because that makes sure that your body is going to be aligned. So when you're standing there, just make sure you're feeling stable before starting, engaging your core, so bringing your belly button towards your spine slightly and making sure your shoulders are open. And we want to keep that openness in the front of the body. So our shoulder blades are really working together and coming together in a back, flat. So now we're going to interlace the fingers in the back. So I'm going to show you maybe like that. So we're trying not to have our hands open, palms of the hands together. And we're making sure we're not rounding our shoulders, but opening our shoulders and opening our collarbones. So we take a breath in, make our spine long, bring our chest forward, and we're going to maintain our back as straight as we can. So depending again on the flexibility in the back of your legs, and you're going to stay parallel with the floor first, and really strengthening that back, because inversion is also great for strengthening the back of the body and the core. So when you're doing all those inversion, try to activate those muscles with consciousness. And then go back down, release your head, let your head hang, and you can open the arms towards the front. And it's great for that. You can see, you can probably feel that in your shoulders, because it's a great opener for the shoulders. And shoulders, quite often, we tend to run up instead of opening up. So any exercise that makes you open the shoulders is a great thing. Before doing that, it's good to have a bit of a warm-up, maybe some movement in your shoulders, very simple circling. To come out of the posture, we're going to bring our hands back to our back and slowly coming back up. Release the hands and come back up. Now we're going to see a different version. Do you need to shake your legs a bit maybe after being there? Great. So feet inwards, hands on the hips. So we're going to go back in a very similar posture to the one we've just done, with a slight modification at the end, which is much more advanced for people who are much more confident and strong in their upper back and shoulders. So hands on the hips, and again, fold from the hips, trying to keep your spine really straight. A good way to know if your spine is straight is simply having your hands and you place them on your lower back, parallel to your tailbone, because quite often it's our lower back that is rounding. Great. Put your hands down on the floor. So you can have blocks or books. Books works perfectly. They just need to be the same height, but you can place some under there if you're not touching, and you can also change the height. You can have them quite high, just to try to have that. So she tends to be too flexible, so she needs to really engage the core, and that's a really good exercise just to stay there. Okay, I'm going to remove that, and then from there we're going to go into the inversion. So let go of your head. And the idea is to try to touch the crown of your head on the mat. And you stay like that. And as you can see again, inversion, so head under the heart, giving relief to the pumping also of the heart and bringing oxygen to our brain. So from there, if you are confident to do so, you can move into a handstand. So it's having a tripod between your hands and your head that is supporting you. And you can bring your legs up vertically. So for that, if you're not confident, it's great also to have someone to protect you from falling this way. And then there's different options with the legs that you can do in that posture. Baddha-konasana, so that's like a butterfly that you've probably done on the floor before, on the mat, and wide-legged. So that's very similar to having the feet on. And then slowly you come back down and you take a break in Halasana, child pose. So it's really important to start child pose maybe with your forehead on the floor and then lifting that head. So you can also use your fist if you don't have a block. So your head is at the same level of your heart or just a bit higher, just to bring back the circulation as normal. So bringing blood to our head, usually we've got our face that becomes quite red, and that's okay. It's also learning to breathe upside down and doing things with your legs in the wrong, in inverted position is really not easy at the beginning. It's a great exercise for the mind and our brain to understand what's going on when we're not used and we've got a different position. So it's a really great experience, and a lot of people really enjoy it. But it takes practice, and it's really much easier to do that guided by a teacher, simply because there's a lot of things, and especially with the neck on a handstand, you don't want to compress your neck, obviously. So that's why we try to make sure we've got the strength in the upper body and the shoulders. And now we're going to show you an exercise to try to build that strength in the shoulders. So it's a bit similar to downward dog that we've done earlier, and it's called Dolphin Pose, which is a really nice name. So we put our elbows under our shoulders, and our hands are parallel to the side of the mat, and they're parallel, our forearms. Great. Now we like downward dogs, we're going to tuck our toes, lift our knees up the floor, maybe walk them slightly more forward. Great. And we try to relax our head down. So the neck is long and in line with our spine. And what we're working on is really our shoulders. So I'm not sure you can see very well, but so if she collapses and then she's lifting, what we want is to stay lifted, so much more engaged in our shoulders. And that requires some strength around the shoulders. And just by staying there and holding the posture, it's a great way to strengthen it. Is it hard, Talia? Yeah. Yeah? Sorry? You can bend your knees as well to help with the length of your spine. And you can straighten. You can try to have your heels towards the mat. It doesn't matter if you don't touch the mat. It's fine. You can walk your knees. And when you're tired, you come back to Halasana, child pose, to rest for a bit. So that's a great exercise to really strengthen our shoulders. And obviously doing downward dog as well will do that. So it's a great way to both have the experience of inversion and the benefits of inversion while doing some strength exercise for going into deeper and more complicated inversion. Great. So now we're going to move to, I think I'm just checking because I don't want to forget. Oh yes, we're going to move into Halasana, the Pluie pose. So we're going to use a blanket for that. And I invite you to have a blanket with you because it really helps to protect the neck. So I've got a yoga blanket. It's folded, and you can fold it a bit more if you want more support to make a bit of a thickness. So I will just use it as a normal folded blanket for Talia today. And we're going to put our shoulders in line with the edge of the blanket. So at the moment they're not aligned, and she's going to move back a bit more. The other way, sweetie. Great, that's right. And from there, make the effort to really make sure your shoulder blades are flat on the mat. You can relax your hands on the side, palms up. You can smile. Great. And then we're going to go into Pluie pose. So we move our legs, bring our legs towards our knees, towards our chest, and then, yes, and then we're going to support our back with our hands. So in that posture, we're trying to have a long vertical spine. And it's not an easy posture at all. So you can use as well a bit of support under your feet. So your feet are a bit higher, or just leave them up. You know, they don't have to go onto the floor. What we try to do is really to make a long back and a straight back. That's the most important thing. Great. From there, we can move to a posture where our knees are in our ears. That's right. So you need obviously a lot of flexibility to be able to do that, and a lot of stretch in your spine. Where do you feel that, Talia? Your back, yeah, definitely. It's a great stretch to make more space in between our vertebrae, which is a very healthy thing to do, but it is definitely not for everyone, and it will in time come to you. by practicing regularly. Great. Now we're going to move into shoulder stand, which is really the inversion posture that we first teach as yoga teachers, because it's the easiest one in a way. You don't have to kick, you don't have to have your head off the floor, and you're going to use your shoulders and your arms as well to press in the floor and to lift your legs and hips towards the ceiling, supporting in your lower back with your hands. So we're trying to have the hands flat rather than wrapped around. Yeah, that's right. So the blanket, as you can see, can you come down, Talia, because you've slipped slightly off the blanket. So the blanket is helping to leave some room and space under your neck. So your neck and your cervical are not completely compressed, because we don't want that. So we always keep our chin close to our chest when we're doing that kind of inversion. And also we're not looking left and right. We're just looking up the ceiling, because otherwise it can really hurt our neck. Sorry?
To your feet.
Your feet. So yeah, you can look at your feet. You can flex the feet or point them. And you're trying to have a line between your ankle, your hips, and your shoulders. So Tanya is doing a great job. Supporting your back is really helpful. The full posture is without support and with your hands on the mat. And you're actively pressing on those hands and those arms. So you're using that force. Great. And to come back, you're really supporting your hips and you're trying to come one vertebra at a time. So really slowly. After that, you can hug your knees in. Maybe rock side to side, holding both knees. And you can also rest in Shavasana. So Shavasana is usually the posture we do at the end of the class. Shavasana is just laying down on your back, hands open, feet apart, and the feet are rolling out in relaxation. And again, trying to remember and imagine someone pressing into your shoulders and just feeling your neck and checking on your neck to make sure you haven't crunched or upset any of the cervical there. So that's the most important point to keep in mind when you're doing that kind of shoulder stand and handstand. And now maybe we can move into handstand, Savasana, but instead of coming from a wide-legged position, we're just going to come from a more traditional way of lifting. So that's fine. So we're starting with our arms, and we want to have the right distance between our elbows. So we're holding opposite arm with our hands, and then we put our elbows on the floor, open. The fingers are going to interlace, and between our hands is where we're going to put our head. So the base of our crown. And we're going to try to really have those elbows sinking into the mat and press into the mat, and using that connection between our head and our elbows and our forearms as our support for a tripod sort of pose. And then we lift our hips, tucking our toes, walking our feet towards our head until our back is straight. And the more you do that, the easier it is to then lift one leg, and it's a great exercise just to lift one leg, leg back, other leg, and just play with that balance. And that's another advantage I haven't talked about yet. Inversion are really helping our sense of balancing. And that's why one of the contraindication is any inflammation of the ear, because without the ear, it's really hard to balance. Glaucoma is another really big contraindication. High blood pressure, any cardiovascular problems, anything where you will challenge your heart, but also your eyes. So if you've got inflammation around the eyes, around the ear, obviously because the blood is coming to our head, the pressure in our head is going to be higher. So then you can stay there if you want, that you've got full advantage and benefits of the inversion, or you can start by straightening the legs one by one or both together, either. And you can see it's not completely still. She's still wobbling a bit, and it's fine. It's finding and playing with that sense of I want to find my balance. I want to find my place on the floor being upside down. So it's a bit challenging. So again, really important to make sure you don't have any pain in your neck, because it's really easy to constrain the neck in that posture. If you do, come down and then change the position of your head to adjust. Whenever you need, you come down of the posture. And if you feel after doing that kind of inversion that your neck is painful, it's not normal. So you need to really change and modify or make sure you're listening to that part of your body. We always, as yogi, really encourage you to listen to your bodies and your sensation, but especially with inversion where there's a lot of pressure on the neck, make sure you're not putting any more pressure. So yeah, great. What shall we finish with? What do you want? We can do so then from there's a lot of variation of different posture, which are really challenging and hard to do. The king of the posture in yoga are the handstand. So do you want to do a handstand? So again, you can try practicing handstand with a wall, but more in a class environment or someone who can help you. And otherwise, I'm just going to spot Talia to make sure she's not coming all the way. So there's different way of starting a handstand, and obviously that's not the yogi way, so we're going to try to do the yogi way. So we're putting our hands on the floor. So maybe come here a bit, yeah, and then come to your downward dog. And from there you can kick or one leg or both legs. Yeah, that's right. So it's all about playing as well. Like it's not, you know, it's hard. It's hard and difficult to find your balance. So a temptation when you're spotting is to hold the legs, whereas it's more about just offering that safety net that I'm here and you can't go all the way back. It's also great to learn how to roll up and roll your head, so you can roll all your body in a safe way when you're falling, you know, when you're going too much that way. Yeah? So no, we're not going to. Great. Do you want to do any other? I don't mind. Scorpion, you know, the one on your forearm. So forearm on the floor, and with your legs up that way, yeah? So this is also a really advanced posture that Talia is going to try. So you can have one leg on each side or both legs coming out. This one requires quite a lot of flexibility in the back as well as strength and core strength. So it's really a delicate posture to be able to do. Great. Well, thank you very much, Talia, for your help today demonstrating this posture. So I hope you've enjoyed watching and learning a bit more about inversion. Inversion are really important, and they're hard to start because of that fear of falling. So that's why I think for me it's not about trying like the hardest the first, but really building on and finding the playfulness and the child in you to do that and to try and fall and try again, and learning perseverance, and to see how also you can engage your whole body, and especially that spine, back and core, which will change your posture and improve your posture to strengthen those parts of our body. So that's it for us today. Yeah? Thank you so much, Talia, for joining today. And namaste, everyone, and I wish you a beautiful day for the rest of your day. And be playful and enjoy the sun and stay safe and not too close to each other except with your family. Thank you.